Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome to the Deal Scout. On today's show, we're going to talk about exiting rich with Seiler Tucker. Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so you wrote a book called Exit Rich, and man, it has done pretty well. Wall Street and USA Today best-selling author. Congrats.
It actually had enough sales to make the New York Times, but for whatever reason, we didn't make it. They went with all alumni titles, but did make Wall Street Journal, USA Today, and it's an Inc. original endorsed by Steve Forbes.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, so we let the cat out of the bag. You're an author, and you're doing some cool stuff. Sold a lot of books. Talk to us a little bit about who you are and what we could find in the book.
Sold a lot of books and sold a lot of businesses. Okay. So again, Seiler Tucker. I'm a mergers and acquisitions master intermediary, senior business analyst, certified mergers and acquisitions professional, the keynote speaker. The list goes on and on. Best-selling author. But I've been in this industry a little over 20 years. I am an entrepreneur. I don't just sell companies. I own businesses in different verticals. And I've sold over 500 companies. My firm has done even more than that. And we've sold businesses in pretty much every vertical you can imagine. We specialize in not just selling companies. We specialize in buying businesses, flipping them, partnering with business owners, investing my core competencies, expertise, and money, of course, to grow that business. We specialize in building businesses to sell. And of course, we do mergers and acquisitions. So we specialize in buying, selling, fixing, growing companies. On average, we get our clients about a 20 to 40% higher price. We have a pretty high closing ratio. And we have about 45,000 buyers in our database.
Yeah, pretty cool. All right. So Michelle, how did you get into this game? Because you sold a lot of businesses, 500 companies. That's a lot. You wrote a book, have multiple businesses. You've talked about funding. How in the world did you get your start in this?
So I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always owned businesses in different industries. I remember when I was 8 years old, I told my mom I wasn't going to work for anybody ever because I don't like to be told what to do. My parents would say, go do this, go do that. I'll give you money. I'm like, no. I don't want to be told what to do. I'll go make money my way. Yeah. So I've always been that way. I've always, lived, breathed, eat entrepreneurship. I did get a job, even though I told my mom I would never get a job. I did have a few different jobs. I did actually get recruited by Xerox, that Fortune 500 company. Yeah. And at first I was recruited as high volume manager. And then I was promoted to regional vice president within 6 months, overseeing over 100 salespeople. And I realized very quickly, what am I doing? I always said I would never have a job. And I certainly didn't want to have a corporate job managing a bunch of salespeople because you don't have any control. I'm a control freak and I'm a people person and I love to solve problems and I'm solution oriented. When you're in upper management in a Fortune 500 company, you're scheduling meetings to schedule another meetings to schedule follow-up meetings. It's just meetings and paperwork. And so I ended up leaving Xerox and opening up a franchise sales, franchise development, franchise consulting company. And I had equity in different franchisors' businesses. And I put them on the map. I would go into a franchise and sell 300 locations for them. So that was my big core competency was franchising. But then I had so many buyers that kept coming to me asking me for existing businesses. I'm like, that's not what we do. That's not our model. We sell new franchises. And I'm a big Bob Proctor fan. I'm a big Law of Attraction fan. And I'm like, why am I saying no? I should be saying yes, yes, yes. And that's exactly when I opened up my M&A firm a little over 20 years ago. I remember walking into a conference 20 years ago and there were about 3,000 men. They all turned around, looked at me and are like, you're in the wrong conference. You need to walk down the hall to dermatology. Oh. I'm like, no, you're in the wrong conference. I'm here for M&A. I'm going to kick your ass.
That's right. That's right. Go get them. Go get them, Michelle.
So that's my background.
Yeah. So, all right. So there's so many questions I want to ask you, but let's start with the law of attraction, right? So you're doing franchises and people keep asking you, hey, I want to buy a business. Hey, I want to sell a business. And you're like, I don't do that. And you go, wait a second, maybe I should be paying attention to this. Walk us through the process, because we have in our mind what we want to do and go down this route. But if the world keeps asking you for something, explain how you responded to that.
Well, you really got to pay attention, and if the world keeps asking you something, you got to look at it and take inventory. And I always tell my clients, there's 3 really profound questions that every business owner should ask themselves. And McDonald's did this, Amazon did this, lots of companies have done this. But number 1, you should always ask yourself, what business are you in? Back then I was in the franchising business, and Amazon back in the 90s was in the book fulfillment business. They fulfilled book orders. So Amazon asked themselves, what business are we in? And they said book fulfillment. I said franchising. The next logical question is, what is your USP? What is your unique selling proposition? What makes you different than everybody else? What's your secret sauce? What's your superpower? And Amazon said our superpower is fulfillment. We do fulfillment better than everyone else in the world. And I said, what is my superpower? What do I do better? I do connecting. I'm really good at connecting. I'm really good at putting buyers and sellers together. I'm really good at seeing opportunities where others don't. I'm really good at seeing synergies and putting those synergistic buyers together. And the next logical question, which nobody really asks, is what business should I be in? Should. And Amazon said, we should be in a fulfillment business. We shouldn't be in a book business. We should be in a fulfillment business, fulfilling orders for everyone all around the world. Mm-hmm. Those 3 powerful questions really transformed Amazon from a small book fulfillment center to a multi-billion-dollar worldwide conglomerate that they are today.
Yeah. And
so I asked myself, what business should I be in? Mm-hmm. And that's when I transitioned into M&A.
Yeah.
Now I'm not multi-billion, but I'm doing pretty good.
you're catching up to Bezos, right? Like you're right on his coattail.
Catching up. I was actually, not too far away from him. A while back, I was at Commander's Palace in New Orleans, and they were having a great big party for Amazon, and Jeff Bezos was there at the party in the garden room, and I was sitting 2 tables down from his father.
Yeah. Did you tell him, hey, I'm going after you, man.
I'm going after your son.
There you go. All right. So here we are, you asked some really great questions, right? To yourself. You took a minute back, you took a step back and you're like, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm putting all these franchises on the map, but I'm pausing and I'm asking my, self a few questions. What business am I in? What's my superpower, and what business should I be in? Right? Like those are the kind of the ones that I pulled apart from this. When you asked yourself, what is my superpower? You said connecting, synergy, finding opportunity when others
negotiating. Yeah. Negotiating. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, in terms of, as you're looking at other people, because to build a business, you need systems, processes, and people.
You need the 6 P's that we talk about in my book, Exit Rich. People, processes are 2 of the 6 that you just named.
Nice. And I'm a huge Marcus Lemonis fan, and he was the people, product, process, on the
I was doing people, product, processes way before Marcus Lemonis.
He should license his things from you. So when you're looking at someone, how do you, as a leader, look at someone's superpower? Because, a lot of people listening in, they're going, I need to grow and I need people, but how do you help identify someone's superpower?
Well, let me give you another example to kind of drive this home. Have you watched the movie, The Founder?
Yeah. With Ray Kroc, right?
With Ray Kroc.
Yeah.
Do you remember the movie? Based upon the McDonald's brothers who started McDonald's back in 1940. I believe it was the 40s or 50s. And Ray Kroc, right? Yeah. So remember when Ray Kroc walked into the bank, he was already upside down. He took a mortgage out against his home. Franchisees weren't paying him. McDonald's was paying him pretty much pennies, on royalties. Do you remember that? Yeah. And the banker said, I'm not going to lend you any money because you're already upside down. He walks out of the bank, head down, very upset. Gentleman follows him outside of the bank and says, look, I just happened to overhear your conversation. I think I can help you. He asked him, what business are you in? And Ray said, what did Ray say?
I don't remember.
I'm in the restaurant business. I'm in the restaurant business.
Yeah.
And he said, no, you're not. And Ray goes, yes, I'm in the restaurant business. He goes, what business are you really in? And Ray goes, I'm in the restaurant business. He goes, no. Now, he didn't ask Ray a superpower, but he asked Ray, what business should you be in? And Ray said, I have no idea. And he said, you need to be in the real estate business.
Yeah.
Because if you buy the real estate, build the brick and mortar, then lease it back to the franchisees. And when the franchisees are not compliant, you void the contract, you slip another franchisee in there. Because of my franchising background, I love this story. If this gentleman didn't follow Ray out of McDonald's, out of the bank that day, McDonald's wouldn't be what it is today. He would have never been able to. He started McDonald's. What was it? McDonald's Corporate Realty. McDonald's Corporate Realty. And that gave him the leverage to steal McDonald's away from the McDonald brothers. He basically stole it. He gave him $1 million. He never paid them royalties, right? I think he was $1 million each, never gave them royalties. But it is the reason that Ray Kroc was successful. It is the reason why there's McDonald's everywhere around the world. If he didn't ask him what business should you be in, Ray would have never survived. Do you agree?
Yeah, that is so
You see the
cool.
power of these questions now?
The power of the question. Yeah.
The power of these 3 questions. Huge. Huge. So when I look at a business, I don't just look at what is that person's superpower, but what's unique about that business. What was unique about McDonald's at the time was it was the only fast food walk-up restaurant, because everything else was a drive-up back in those days. That's what made McDonald's unique. You follow me?
Yeah. So, all right. So with this, right. So this idea of, one of your superpowers is being able to identify value in something, right? Like other people don't see value and opportunity.
The opportunity.
Right. So when you're talking with someone and such, and you start to kind of, what are you looking for in their business? Because one of your things, I think you did a publication, sell your business for more than it's actually worth, right? Like, so how do you identify that in a business? If I'm looking out to go buy a business and then flip it, right? So what do you look for? Teach us to look for what you see.
Well, that's a loaded question right there, because you've asked a bunch of questions in one. You asked me, okay, how do I look at opportunity in companies, right?
Yep.
How do I look at selling a business for more than it's worth, right? Which is a completely different question.
Well, just answer the one you want.
And then how do I look at what I want? How do you look at buying a business? So let me kind of just back up a little bit. When I look at partnering with business owners, I'm very selective. Okay. So what do I look for? I look for something that's very niche. I'm not going to go into a restaurant, and I love all my restaurant owners. Don't get mad at me, but I'm not going into the restaurant industry because it's not unique. It's not a niche. One of the last businesses that I invested in is a graphics business, and we specialize in graphics for first responders. So all the police cars and ambulances and fire trucks, somebody's got to put those graphics on. That's our company. That's a niche, right? And it's pretty much recession proof because they always need graphics. Cop cars always crashing cars. They're always getting new ones. So I look for something that's niche. I look for something that's unique. I also look for, are the partners staying in? Are the owners staying in? Are they coachable? Because you will never grow a business beyond what you can grow the owner. If you watch Marcus Lemonis, how many times does Marcus tell them what to do? He leaves for a few weeks. He changes the name, changes the slogan, changes the logo, changes the paint color, does all this stuff. He comes back and everything's back to the way it was. Because you will never grow the business beyond what you can grow the owner. Fish stinks from the head. You have to be able to grow the owner. So I look for in the partners, can I grow the owner? Can I get them out of their own way? Can I take them to a Tony Robbins conference and they not freak out?
Right.
How can I grow these owners? If I can't grow the owners and I can't get them out of the way, I'm probably not going to do that transaction. Right. If the owners want to get out of the way, what's the management team look like? Do I have another management team I can put in? So I look at all these different variables when I go to partner with a business. When I go to flip a business, it's all about, speed. What needs to be fixed? Who can I put in there? Is there anyone, good now that's working in that business, and how soon can we get our money out of it? When I go to partner, I'm looking at typically a 5-year exit, and usually for at least 15 million and up is our sweet spot.
Yeah. So you're looking. you're looking for these are the things I hear, right? So you're looking for a niche, right? You're looking for
Yeah.
things, and you mentioned like I like things that are recession proof, right? Cops are always crashing cars, right? You look for something that has a USP, a unique selling proposition. You look at the leadership and you go, are they coachable? And I love that saying. I've never heard that before. You can never grow a business beyond what you could grow the owner, right? That's so cool. Because I see a lot of cool business, that comes through the podcast show and through LinkedIn and all this other crap, but like, are they coachable? Are they willing to grow? Are they willing to go to an awesome Tony Robbins event and get out of their comfort zone? Right?
I've taken owners to a Tony Robbins conference and I'm like, I hate this. And I'm like, oh, maybe you're not my partner.
Right?
Like that's a prerequisite. I have to take you to Tony Robbins conference before we become partners.
It's so cool though. But like you're in a position where you get to choose the people that you work with, and that's fun. Has that always been the situation, right? So you walked in that room and you see an old, bunch of old guys in the room, and they said, "Hey, sweetheart, you're down the road, at the beauty," and you're like, "No, you guys are in the wrong."
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Did you ever find your play, like where you just were having a hard time fitting what the world wanted you to fit?
Yeah, I've never been, I don't really get intimidated too often, so I didn't walk in there and I was never intimidated by these men. In fact, it was a challenge for me.
Yeah.
Made me feel a little lonely sometimes because, I remember being at a networking party there, a cocktail party. They were all in their little groups talking and nobody was talking to me. And finally, this lady walks up. You would think all the men would be talking to me, right? None of them were talking to me.
They're intimidated just as much as
Yeah,
everyone.
they're intimidated. I'm not.
That's
And
right.
then finally another lady walked in. I'm like, oh, thank God. A lady from Houston walked in. We became best friends after that.
Yeah.
But never really intimidated. Maybe sometimes a little lonely. They say it's lonely at the top.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I get that. Now you exude confidence, right? Like,
I don't know. Do I, Josh? I don't know.
I think so, man. Has anybody ever told you like you're like a firecracker? Like, I love your like even you and I were like battling back and forth and having fun. Like, to me, this is exciting. Like, you have a really great, confidence about you. What advice do you have for other entrepreneurs, maybe other, females out there who want to be confident, who want to rise to the top, who want to build something big and strong for themselves? What advice do you have for them?
I usually my advice is always the same, but it's really, and I didn't do this too much later in life, but I always say get a mentor. Get a mentor, but don't just get any mentor, because there's good mentors, there's really bad mentors out there. You need to find an expert who's traveled the road you want to travel because they'll shorten your learning curve dramatically. Learn from other people's mistakes. But as a female, sometimes it is more difficult because we have a lot more challenges. We have a lot more things on our plate. I remember last night, 10 o'clock at night, I'm trying to order groceries on Whole Foods because I don't have a nanny. I haven't had a nanny in 6 months. It's the longest time ever. I haven't had a nanny and a household manager. So here I am ordering groceries at 10 o'clock at night. We have a lot more stressors on our plate than maybe some men do sometimes, right? Because,
Sure.
I have a daughter who's just turned 11. She thinks she's 21 and she's more complicated in any transaction I've ever done. So, I'm balancing being a mother, balancing being a wife, balancing, taking care of that home. Normally I would say outsource all that stuff. And I've been trying to outsource that. So if anybody's listening to me and they want to come to work for me, send me a resume. I need a home manager. But, for me, it's always really believe in yourself, really know what your superpowers are. I'm extremely resilient, and I can take objection really easily. I just let it roll off my back because I don't take it personally. You got to learn not to take rejections personally. It takes 5, the average knows that it takes to get a yes is 5. It takes 5 no's to get a yes. So don't take rejection personally and just know your superpower.
Yeah.
And act like you belong. And I always tell women too, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Every day you have to push yourself a little bit more above your limit. I remember the first time I spoke on stage in front of a group of 800 people. I literally thought I was going to pass out, throw up and then pass out. And my speaking coach is like, I said, you know what? I'm not going to go up there because I don't see the benefit of it. Nothing's really going to come out of it. I don't know if it's going to ROI.
Yeah.
And my coach is like, we just shut up already. So you got to stop listening to the voices in your head. Cause I do this too. I talk myself out of stuff.
Yeah.
And you got to just learn to drown out the voices in your head and do it anyway. Do it anyway. No matter how afraid you are, do it afraid.
Yeah. I tell you, I speak for a living, right? Like we have a bunch of podcast shows and I'm constantly doing presentations and such. But behind a microphone, I feel safe. Behind a camera, like I'm good, right? But put me on stage, you'll see my hands shake, and like I had this fear that I'm just gonna like throw up, and I'm just gonna make a complete. I'm more afraid of that than building a business, putting all in, going back. Like I'm not afraid of that
But
at
you
all.
have to speak more in front of an audience because you will get better at everything that you do. And I remember telling my coach, I said, God, what if I pass out? Then he goes, I'll give you mouth to mouth. He goes, I'm actually praying you pass out. So, always say, look, it might not be that important to you to speak in front of people, but it will make you so much stronger in other areas of your life. So you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Every day I try to do something that makes me just a little uncomfortable because that's how you grow.
Yeah.
You grow by stepping outside your comfort zone. You're either growing or dying. There's no in between.
Let us behind the curtain, right? So you're confident lady, you're super successful, you wrote a book, you're famous, right? Taking the stage, you're doing all these cool things, right? What makes you feel uncomfortable? Like where are you being stretched and you're like, oh, this really makes me feel uncomfortable?
Well, I still get uncomfortable sometimes when I speak. And I think that's good. I call that now. I don't feel like I'm going to throw up or pass out anymore. I just feel like it's butterflies, right? So I still get nervous because I want to be great. I want to connect with the audience. I want to do the best I can do. And I think that's a good nervous energy. So I still get a little, nervous there too. When am I not confident? Maybe when, I'm thinking.
Okay, we could come back to that. I got a few more questions.
I'm thinking about who would I meet that would make me nervous. Marcus Lemonis would not make me nervous.
Yeah, who if you and I were hanging out, we're at a coffee shop.
I was about to say Steve Forbes, but I co-hosted a show, Pitch Tank with Steve Forbes, so he doesn't make me nervous. I'm trying to think. Donald Trump, I've met him, hung out with Eric Trump. They don't make me nervous. Sharon Lecter, my co-author, the very first time I met her, she made me nervous.
She's smart. Yeah.
But not anymore,
Yeah. Is there anybody that if you and I were hanging out in a room, coffee and someone walked up, you'd be like, holy moly, that person intimidates me or makes me feel, because I mean, I love your personality. You're an incredible lady. This is fun for me. Right. But is there anybody that what kind of situations make you?
I mean, I thought I would feel that way when I met, Donald Trump, President Trump, and I didn't feel that way. I thought I would feel that way when I met President Clinton, when I met Arnold Schwarzenegger. I met some really big people, and I thought I would feel that way. Warren Buffett, I think he would be a hoot. I would just have fun with him. I don't know. Oprah is who I really want to meet. So maybe Oprah.
Yeah. All right. So let's just say we're sitting here and, Oprah comes up. She's like, hey, Josh, hey, Michelle. And you get to ask Oprah any question. I know that this is a show about deals and such, but I love digging into the people's like their mind and their mindset and their life, because behind every deal is a deal maker. And, when you understand the deal maker, know, like, and trust them, you do deals together. What question would you ask Oprah?
Why haven't you married Stedman Graham? I'm joking.
Right.
I met Stedman too, but I don't know. She had a very tumultuous past, and maybe something about how did she overcome, what she went through as a child, or how did that make her stronger? But she's been asked that so many times, and that didn't really happen to her. It happened for her and made her who she is today. So I would probably ask, what's next, Oprah?
Whatever she wants, right?
Yeah, whatever she wants,
Yeah.
But
So,
she never had children, so that's always interesting. Why didn't she have children? Does that have something to do with your past? Maybe.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you wrote this book. What inspired you to write a book? Because the process of writing a book, I heard, is pretty tough. I've tried it. 137 times. So
137, really?
now I'm working with a coach and we're walking our way through it. But yeah, this is try number 138.
Wow, you should have came to me because I'm free. I'm going to charge you a penny, and you would have probably done it and tried 2 or 3. So
Yeah.
writing books for me is easy. I've written 4 books. So I have Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth. I did a chapter in Think and Grow Rich today. I have Exit Rich. I've already written another book that's already out there. Well, it's not out there yet. I'm sorry. It's about to go out there. And it's about how to grow wealth through acquisitions.
Mm.
And then I've got another book I'm going to write in the real estate industry, actually. So I've got probably another 7 or 8 books in me. Writing books to me is easy. Why did I write Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth? My first book is because I'm the best kept secret. Selling companies, private companies, is private. So nobody talks about me. Like I do a great job. I get them, 50% more than what the business appraised for. And nobody goes and toots my horn because they don't want to talk about selling their company.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth for credibility, for exposure, for lead generation, and also to educate the marketplace about selling your business. I wrote Exit Rich because the business landscape has changed dramatically from when I wrote my first book to when I wrote Exit Rich. Steve Forbes says 80% of businesses will never sell. 80%.
That's crazy.
So, I mean, that's a big wake up call for business owners because you have less than a 20% chance of success when you're ready to cash out. So I wrote Exit Rich to teach people how to create a sustainable business that you can scale and will actually have a sellable asset when you're ready. Let me give you one more statistic. When I wrote Sell Your Business for More Than It's Worth and did the research, I learned that 98% of all startups would fail within the first 1 to 5 years. We all know that. That's common knowledge. But here's what you don't know. Here's what most of you don't know. When I wrote Exit Rich in 2019, I did the exact same research. And I was flabbergasted to learn that the business landscape has changed dramatically. It's not startups at great risk anymore. Only 30% of startups are going out of business, which is great news for Startup Nation.
Yeah.
However, out of 27.6 million companies, those businesses that have been in business for 10 years or longer, 70% of them are going out of business. 70. There are only 30.2 million businesses in the country. Small business is the backbone of our economy. When we lose small business, we lose jobs. You lose jobs, guess what? It's a domino effect. You lose spending power and more businesses will shut down. So I wrote Exit Rich to teach people about the 6 Ps, to teach business owners how to build the proper infrastructure so your business is sustainable, so you don't go out of business. Because the number one reason businesses go out of business is lack of aim. Aim is always innovate and market. They stop innovating, they stop marketing. Look at Blockbuster.
Yeah.
So that's why I wrote Exit Rich, is to educate business owners so they can stay in business and so that they can exit rich and not exit poor. Josh, most business owners exit poor. They sell their business for pennies on the dollar. They close their business, or even worse, they file bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
And now writing a book is easy. I write my books in 6 weeks.
Wow.
And I tried one, I also used to write as a little girl. I used to write like poetry and lyrics and things like that. But what I do is, and this is what you have to do. I don't know what your coach is telling you, but listen to me. you got to do time blocking. So what I do is I say November, right before Thanksgiving, and all the way through Christmas, maybe mid-January, those 6 weeks. 6 to 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So December and usually 2 weeks in January. If I need the rest of January, I have the rest of January. I tell all of my companies, don't bother me unless the business is on fire, unless the feds come in, something happens, do not bother me. I tell my family, we have family over for the holidays. I tell them too, don't bother me. I get up at 4 a.m. I start writing from like 4:30 all the way to 5:36. At the end of the day, I take a few breaks. Every word in my books is typed by me. I type every single word. I tried the dictating thing. It does not understand my accent.
What is your accent, by the way?
I don't know. I'm from California, raised in Texas, lived in Kansas City for a year and been in New Orleans for a while.
I got you. Okay.
So, and then I tried a ghostwriter and that was terrible. So different people have different ways. But for me, what works is just having those 6 to 8 weeks blocked off where I do nothing but write
Mhm.
every day. And I'm committed to it. Now, I can't do that every year because it is tough. It is not easy,
Mhm.
but I love it. So now I haven't written since 2019. I'm like, oh my God, I got to write another book. I got to get another book out there,
Yeah.
and I got to go through this again. So that's how I do it.
That's great. I like that. 4:30, like without an alarm clock, what time do you typically wake up? Like if without an alarm clock, without a buzzer going off, like what's your natural wake up time?
I would say without a buzzer, without alcohol the night before, um,
Yeah.
maybe 5:30.
Okay.
Around 5:30. Yeah.
All right. But if you do have a nightcap, wine, beer, liquor, like what's your choice drink?
Tequila.
I do too. Tequila. I like
Tequila.
mine tequila on ice. That's it.
No, I like mine with club soda. I like
Okay.
tequila with club soda. I like tequila because it's all natural. It's from agave. I don't mix it with any sugar.
Yeah.
So it's really all natural, and it's an upper, not a downer.
What kind
And
of
I think it's the
tequila do
best
you
for you.
like?
I like Don Julio Blanco.
Okay. Yeah, I like the Milagro. I had some done the other night. I'm actually going to a tequila bar tonight, and
Okay.
yeah, so tequila.
And
Cheers.
a lot of people like 1942. It's more
Yeah.
expensive and all that. I'm not a 19. I don't like 1942. It's too. I don't know. I don't like it. I like Blanco, but
Uh,
you might like 1942 because it's more of a sipping tequila.
okay. Well, even on ice, I'm not really a good sipper. I'm a good. Tend to drink. I get thirsty. I'm so thirsty. I'm a thirsty guy. All right. So you at 8 years old, your mom's like, telling you stuff, and you're like, Mom, never gonna work for anybody. I got to build my business. Like you knew at a pretty young age, like I'm gonna run the world, right? You knew you were gonna build businesses. Like,
Yeah, I went through this small little spell, thing where I wanted to be a teacher, and I'm like, really? I don't want to be a teacher. They don't make any money.
yeah.
And but I also always knew too that I wanted to be a writer
Mm,
because I never played with toys. I never played with dolls. And Mom's like, why don't you play with toys? Why don't you play with dolls? All I needed was a pen and a notebook.
mm.
And I would walk up to perfect strangers at banks, grocery stores, post office, and I would just start asking questions like, who are you, Josh? What do you do? How'd you get into it? I just walk up to you and start asking a bunch of questions, and I would write it down. And my mom always thought I was going to be the next Barbara Walters.
Yeah.
I knew I was always going to be in writing. I knew I was a people person, and I knew I was going to do something to march to the beat of my own drum.
Yeah. When you were exploring, you paid attention to the universe, and you believe in the law of attraction, right? So people were asking you were in franchises, you're blowing it up, you were doing a great job, but you're like, this law of attraction, explain the law of attraction and how it helped you, that mindset or those questions helped pivot you into M&A, buying businesses.
Well, I'm certainly not the law of attraction guru. I've got so many friends that are like, okay, every day they wake up, they envision exactly,
Yeah.
what they're like, Michelle, if you want a nanny and a house manager, you got to vision what that nanny looks like. You got to vision how old she is, where does she live? Blah, blah, blah. I'm not that good.
Me either.
I try to be, but law of attraction is just really paying attention to the universe, paying attention to the signs, like all the buyers asking me for existing businesses, you know, really being conscious, so many times we just don't pay attention, right, to outside of our box. And it's just really paying attention and acting upon that. I could have just stayed in franchising all this time.
Mhm.
But to me, and then, like I said, I have friends that are like really law of attracting, saying, okay, this is what I want. This is and I do vision boards. My whole team does vision boards. We do that stuff. I haven't always done them. I just started kind of doing stuff like that. But I think it's really powerful. I have a girl that does vision boards, and I swear everything she puts in that vision board comes to fruition.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But like
awesome.
Bob Proctor, we listen to Bob Proctor. I make my daughter listen to it too. She's 10. She just turned 11. And, it's all about really envisioning what you want your life to be.
Yeah. When you're looking out 10 years from now, 20 years from now, like what do you think the future of Michelle looks like? What do you want to do?
Sometimes that's difficult. And the reason why I say that sometimes that's difficult is because you have outer influences. So I have my husband say, Michelle, you should retire. And I'm like, just because you want to retire doesn't mean I should retire.
Right.
So sometimes
Yeah.
I battle that, because when you have an outside influence that wants you to be on their page and do what they're doing, it can be difficult. Me, where I see myself is just on top of the world, Seiler Tucker offices in every major city, every major state, every major city, with probably 5, 6, 7, 8 more books out, and really helping business owners save their business and exit rich.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I could ever retire. Like, I absolutely love what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, win the lotto, become a billionaire. Jeff gives me his business, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm going to keep building businesses and keep podcasting.
You need to win more than $1 billion for just business.
Well, I'm going to put in an unofficial offer to Jeff, and let's just see if it closes. So, yeah. Michelle, as you're writing this book, this Exit Rich, and other books, you got another book that coming out on building wealth through acquisition, and some books on real estate. So super cool. We definitely want to keep cheering you on as you're writing these books. Like, if there's someone in the audience and they're like your ideal person that you want to speak to, like, you just love working with this kind of person, like, who are they and why?
Yeah. So and one thing I wanted to comment earlier too is I agree with you on retirement. Donald Trump always says, love him or hate him. Mm-hmm. I'm not here to tell you to like Donald Trump or not, but he always says to retire is to expire.
Yeah.
And I believe that.
I do,
because you're either growing or you're dying. There's really no in between. And that's what I keep telling my husband. But my ideal client, that's tough, because my ideal client for partnering with a business owner would be somebody who, is really passionate about their business, is coachable, has something that's unique. Like I said, we'll listen, and something that we can really blow up and make a difference in the world, because it's not just about making money. It's also about, giving back to the world, giving back to different charities. There's a nonprofit that we're going to start here at Seiler Tucker. So it's about really making an impact in the world. And so my ideal client is somebody who shares the same values that I share, same work ethic, coachable. I'm coachable, and I'm always learning every day. My ideal client, as far as somebody selling their business, is we have a firm, and my sweet spot is typically $10 million purchase price and up. So I typically sell to larger companies because I've been doing it for so long, but we have a team that sells smaller businesses. So I would say, anything $1 million purchase price up to 10 million would be my team. Anything over 10 million is probably me. But we're selling businesses 50 million, $250,000, 500 million and up. And then also, I'm so passionate about business owners being successful. So I don't want to leave the small business owners behind that are suffering. So we have a Road to Sell program where we're really coaching these business owners on how to build their business with the infrastructure on the 6 Ps, and really getting their business ready to exit in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, pretty cool.
So I don't know if I really answered your question, but those are kind of my ideal clients for each one of those sectors.
Yeah, because they're each business offer that you have has a persona. Now, right, as you are doing these things, right, writing new books and building things, what do you do for fun, right? Besides tequila, right? That's fun. I would love tequila, right? So, like, what do you do when you just had a big exit, you just sold a $100 million business, and you're like, you know what? Let's celebrate for a minute. What do you do for fun?
Well, work is fun for me, because work is not work. I always, ask people, gosh, if you could do something and not get paid, what would it be? If you could do something all day long, every day, whether you got paid or not, what would that be? And for me, it's really not work. Now, sometimes there's things that I like get so annoyed with, the day-to-day stuff that comes up, the fires that pop up. But for fun, for me, I just took up tennis again. So I love playing tennis. I do work out, even though I don't think that's fun. I do like 4 o'clock in the morning, but I love travel. I love going on trips. I love going out with my friends. We we have a $55 million company we're selling, and my team has, it's my team's idea. Like, well, let's go to the beach when we sell it. I'm like, okay, let's go to the beach. So things like that, we'll celebrate by taking a cruise, we'll celebrate by going to the beach, we'll celebrate by just gathering everybody and going to dinner somewhere.
Yeah. Now,
Yep.
what's your favorite, like in Louisiana, what's your favorite dish? Because you've been in California, so you've experienced the food over there. You've been in Texas, so you've had great Texan food. Now you're in Louisiana. What kind of food do you guys like?
That I tell you, that's tough because Louisiana is probably the best place in the world for food.
Great food.
But I'm not your typical Cajun. So if you're talking to Cajun, they're going to tell you red beans and rice or gumbo or,
Yeah.
something like that. I love turtle soup.
Ah.
I love, shrimp and crab bisque, corn and crab bisque, stuff like that. I just love New Orleans cooking, period. But I'm not, red beans and rice girl, gumbo girl.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we're finishing
King
coffee.
King cakes is another one.
What is it?
King cakes.
What's that?
From Mardi Gras. You never heard of a king cake? All right, I'm gonna have to send you a king cake to Florida.
I love cake. It sounds great.
Yeah, it's full of sugar.
Oh, perfect. My kids will love it. So, all right. So we just finished coffee with Oprah. You've already given me your books, right? So I've got all your books, and you're like, hey, Josh, before you leave, I got a book recommendation. What book would you recommend? It can't be yours because I already bought them all.
Oh, a book for you to read.
Yeah.
Sharon Lecter would get mad at me if I didn't say Rich Dad Poor Dad, but I really like The One Thing by Gary Keller.
Yeah.
Because so many entrepreneurs are like squirrel, 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 and I mean, I even am guilty of that from time to time. So The One Thing is really teaching you to hone in and focus on that one thing. So that one thing, get that one thing perfected, and then move on to something else. So I would say The One Thing.
Yeah, it's a good book. Another book similar to that, Greg McKeown wrote the book Essentialism. I thought that was really good. Just finished his follow-up book, which I forgot the name of it. He's going to punch me for that. But Essentialism was The One Thing by Gary Keller. And then that, I thought those were great books because I'm the squirrel chaser, right? The visionary entrepreneur who has.
We all are, all entrepreneurs. We're all squirrel chasers. I mean, my husband tells me too, stop picking up shiny pennies, So, yeah.
But that's the kind of the adventure, right? So I'm learning how to build business models around chasing shiny objects.
Well, and that's why it's got to be congruent, and that's why you got to go back to what kind of business am I? What's my superpower? What business should I be in? Because Amazon didn't stop, fulfilling book orders.
Yeah.
What Amazon did was just branch out on their superpower, which was fulfillment, right? They didn't go in and start owning restaurants. It's got to be congruent to what you're doing now.
Yeah, that's smart. All right. So if someone wants to connect with you, sell their business with you, through you and with you, maybe pick up some of your books, maybe get you to come speak at an event, where could people go to connect with you and do a deal with you?
Sure. So if anyone's interested in me speaking at an event, partnering with us, have a business you want us to look at to partner or purchase or sell a business or even build to sell, you can go to Seiler Tucker. That's seilertucker.com. And then as far as my books, you can go to Amazon, you can go to your favorite bookstores. You can also go to exitrichbook.com because at exitrichbook.com, we still have all the additional value. So for $24.79 plus shipping to anyone in the United States, we'll email you the digital download. We'll send the hardcover to your doorstep. We'll give you a lifetime membership into the Exit Rich Book Club. There's video content, and we teach in different strategies and techniques. I've been teaching for the last 20 years in the trenches, plus documents to operate your business, documents to sell your business. So we have sample employee handbooks, org charts, non-compete agreements. We have sample letter of intents, purchase agreements, due diligence checklists, closing documents. All these documents would cost you over $50,000 if you try to recreate, because I'm convinced that attorneys charge per word. And so we're giving all that additional value at exitrichbook.com. And that's where you can pick that up. If you go to Amazon or your favorite bookstore, it's no big deal. Just email us a receipt and we'll make sure you still get all the bonuses.
Ah, very cool. Michelle, what question? This is the last one because I know.
And I've got a podcast you should listen to called Exit Rich.
Oh, very cool. Okay. And they can find that on Google,
They can find
Stitcher.
that everywhere.
Okay.
Google, iTunes. Yep.
Okay. So we got to go because you got to go sell a business in a few minutes. But what's one question that I should have asked you that I completely screwed up and didn't ask you in this interview?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. You were pretty thorough.
I examined your life and found out the deal maker behind you.
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to think. What's my nonprofit about?
Gosh, what the heck is your nonprofit about? You mentioned that. I should have picked up on that. Tell us about your nonprofit.
Yeah, so we're getting ready to start Tucker Teens and Tots. And Tucker Teens and Tots, my vision, I'm still, formulating everything, but my vision is to bring entrepreneurs, highly successful entrepreneurs like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, just really highly successful entrepreneurs, to provide entrepreneur mentorship, skill sets, training, business jobs, partnerships, business ownerships to neglected and abused teenagers.
Cool.
Because so many of these children who grow up to be teenagers have never really had a powerful mentor in their life.
Yeah.
And most of them will end up on the street, homeless, or end up in prison, or end up, addicted to drugs and dead. So that's our nonprofit.
Very cool. Well, when you get that up and running, maybe we have you back on one of our shows and we chat about the nonprofit. But Michelle, thanks for coming on. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow deal makers out there in the audience, you could go into our show notes and connect directly with our guests, reach out to them, say thanks for being on the show, and find a way to do a deal together. That's the purpose of the show, is to put people in deals together. If you're working on a deal, looking for a deal, and want to chat about it, head on over to thedealscout.com, fill out a quick form, and maybe get you guys on the show next. Till then, talk to you all on the next episode. See you, everybody.